A truly gorgeous spring day in New York, from the reservoir in Central Park to the Empire State. A gorgeous spring day. Lady Liberty shining on New York. Ready for baseball in the big town. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Chicago Cubs. Tuesday Night Baseball on SNY is presented by Delta. And Mets baseball is presented in HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets play Game 2 of their 4-game series against the Chicago Cubs. Last night, the Mets winning 6-1, a game marking the big league debut of Ike Davis, and Ike did not disappoint after being summoned from Buffalo. He hurried on down to Flushing and had himself a nice evening.
Well, you know the butterflies were churning inside, and, you know, I thought it was a good idea to send him to Buffalo. He came up red hot, 7-game hitting streak in AAA, and then in his first at-bat, you know the jitters are there. And the changeup, he stayed back, got rid of that one, got his first hit. Always a great moment for every major league player, even pitchers like Ronnie. You always forget your first, you remember your first hit. And then off a left-hander, he gets an RBI single later in the game. So a 2-for-4 night for him. Got his feet wet. I think it's fantastic, and maybe what the Mets are looking for is lightning in the bottle. Maybe he can provide it.
And not only that, but a left-handed first baseman. It's been a while since the Mets had one of those. And by the way, I must say, nice jacket.
Thank you.
Now, for Ike Davis, a new experience last night. For Mike Pelfrey, a new experience tonight. Mike, 5 days ago, pitched a gem in Colorado, 7 shutout innings. And then 2 days later, his first major league save in St. Louis in the 20-inning game. Now coming back on turn to pitch tonight.
That's right. He leads the Mets now with the 2 wins and the 1 save. The great part about it, though, is that Mike threw that great game that you talked about, Gary. Then he threw on the side, and then he went, lifted weights, did all the running bike that you had to get ready for. And by the way, Jerry came to him about the 17th and said, you better put your spikes on. Spikes on he did, got the save in that great 20-inning ballgame.
And Pelfrey off to a roaring start, 1.29 ERA. His opponent tonight not off to a good start, the very highly paid and quite mercurial Carlos Zambrano.
You know, he's 1-1 this year, but his ERA is almost 10. His first start this year only went 1 1/3, gave up 8 earned runs. But this guy is one of those guys you never know. He could come out and throw a no-hitter. That's how good he is, and also great at the plate. 20 career home runs,
including 4 last year. So it's Pelfrey for the Mets, Zambrano for the Cubs. Mets try and make it 2 straight against the visitors from Chicago. All the action coming up on SNY. SNY is brought to you by Delta, New York's most global airline, is a proud sponsor of the New York Mets. By Acura, by Geico, by Audi, Truth in Engineering, and by BP. Help your car run younger for longer. Try BP gasoline with Invigorate. Traveling this season? Take the Mets with you. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Mets game live or on demand on your computer. Visit Mets.com in order to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Here's your Suzuki around the majors for tonight. Wait for it. And here it is. David Eckstein. Just his 35th career home run, a walk-off in the 10th inning as the Padres beat the Giants 3-2. Joel Pinheiro, another terrific start, 7 1/3 innings, no runs, 9 hits. He has a 1.77 ERA through 3 starts. And Edinson Volquez, the Cincinnati Reds right-hander, suspended 50 games for performance-enhancing drugs, but he's on the disabled list, and he's going to serve the suspension while on the DL. That's not a suspension.
That doesn't make any sense. He's supposed to miss some games.
He's going to lose some money.
Yep, well, not like Manny last year.
Mike Pelfrey striding in from the bullpen, not in relief tonight. He'll take his regular start. Everybody in the world looking on. Mets and Cubs coming up.
Bye.
Tonight brought to you by Ford. Kosuke Fukudome slides into the leadoff spot after Marlon Byrd hit leadoff last night and had 3 hits. Out of the lineup is Ryan Theriot, and Mike Fontenot playing shortstop. First game he started at that position in 3 years. For the Cubs, who have been struggling, tonight they face Mike Pelfrey, who most definitively has not.
The outstanding relief pitcher for the Mets making a spot start tonight with that save in that 20-inning game. Pelf was outstanding in that game in Colorado. Most important thing, 7 shutout innings, but no walks.
Well, this is our Ultra-Mo camera, which is 8 times slower than your normal super slow-mo camera. Man, that's slow.
And it does look like there's a ballet dance out there in the pitcher's motion, huh?
Cool. I'm hearing Tchaikovsky or something right now. Should be playing to this.
That is sweet. Love it.
It's an opera out on the turnpike. Kosuke Fukudome takes a strike, and we're underway. Fukudome hitting a .297 in his third year with the Cubs after 9 years with the Chunichi Dragons. Boy, was he a phenomenon when he first started with Chicago 2 years ago.
Not only on the field, but just generated so much fan furor over Fukudome.
Pelfrey's thrown up 12 consecutive shutout innings, starting with his first start of the year, 4 scoreless to finish that effort, then the 7 scoreless against Colorado, and then his scoreless 20th inning. Not too many people get to say they've pitched a 20th inning.
That's right.
You had a 19.
19, never made it to 20.
Going away to Fukudome.
Very interesting. That 1-1 pitch, a big overhand curveball from Mike. First batter, first inning.
He's getting more confident, Ronnie.
Yes.
You know, it's fun to watch him blossom.
3-2 to Fukudome. Jeff Baker and Derek Lee to follow for the Cubs, who were pretty lifeless on offense last night. Managed to run on 9 hits against 3 Met pitchers.
A pretty lifeless ball club, period.
One thing Fukudome gives them that nobody else on this club does, he will work counts. He'll see more pitches. The Cubs are so aggressive.
Yeah, he by himself a couple of seasons ago made this team less aggressive and take more strikes and work the count.
Slaps one to short, right at Reyes. And Reyes throws out Fukudome for the first out of the night.
Beautiful little sinker by Mike, down and away. The desired effect, a ground ball. The Lexus Mets defense, and we're going to show you, we told you earlier ad nauseum, that 72 outfield assists since 2005 is the most in the major leagues. That Jeff's got a very accurate, strong arm, and with Pagan in center, that's a pretty good right side of that outfield defensively.
Only nausea induced by those throws is the runner trying to score. Gets a little nauseous coming around third and seeing the catcher with the ball.
Third base coach gets a little nauseous too.
Well, they keep sending. That's the thing. The guys with the best arms often are the guys who don't get run on at all. But we've seen teams run quite a bit on Francoeur, and that's a little puzzling.
Well, I think the problem is just like he had that one in St. Louis, is that when it was hit, third base coach says that's deep enough. There's no way he can get to it, but he charged it so quickly. I think he made up all that space.
Jeff Baker can't hold up on the fastball, and it's 1-2.
Ronnie, the one thing I noticed about Pelf, his first 2 starts and his last start in a road, you didn't make that road trip. He's very relaxed on the mound. Remember last year he was fighting himself? And look at him now. Look at his demeanor. Look at his motion. He's not fighting himself. Everything's in sync.
And even after the balk in Colorado, remember Melvin Morris stepped out on him and he stopped and he was called for a balk. He didn't have any ill effect after that.
No, I remember it. He said this. He goes, "Oh, my bad. Okay, no big deal. Let's go back to work."
3-2 to Baker.
I think the thing, I'm right with you, Keith. Usually we walk around the mound contemplating what pitch he was going to throw. Kind of very business-like, which I like.
I just get the biggest kick out of watching these guys come up from the minor leagues and grow.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Fastball away from Pelfrey to get Baker for the second out.
Well, just a nice four-seamer, saying to himself, it's a big ballpark. I'm going to throw it on the outside part and throw it as hard as I can. Worked out.
A little tardy. Reaching for it, too.
Ronnie, we talked about Pelfrey not only having pitched in relief, but having thrown his bullpen and lifted weights earlier in the day on Saturday. What do you look for tonight that there might be any effect from that?
Well, I think that what you want to look at early is if he's, if he's throwing 89 or 90 miles an hour instead of his 92, 93, that would be something you'd want to see. If he gets fatigue early, like the third or fourth inning, if you see he's laboring a little, not laboring right now. But you know what? The hardest part for him to pitch in that game the other night was that he had thrown on the side, lifted his weights, done his running, and had shut it down mentally. And he had to get it going again. And when you're used to doing the mental kind of, I don't know, what do you call it, a little mental marathon every fifth day, you start to get on that track. And once it's upset a little bit, that'll be the key for him, is to come back mentally. Physically, he's a horse. He's fine.
2-1 to Derek Lee. who fouls it off. The funny thing is, Mike, after the game, said he was in the game mentally because he thought he might get to bat. Because after all,
right.
You know, Jonathan East came up as a pinch hitter in that game on Saturday.
I think Pelf is working a little bit quicker pace, not stomping around the mound. He's getting the ball and throwing it and get a rhythm. Remember, he lost 20 pounds in the offseason here, and I thought it was too much, but he looks good.
Well, 3 straight batters now. He's gone 3 and 2 to open the game. We have the Ramos Ramirez off to a struggling start, getting cleanup tonight after being dropped to the 5-hole yesterday.
Let's see what he does to Derek Lee. He's more of a home run threat than Baker. 3-2 to Baker. He just four-seamed it, threw it on the outside part. Let's see if he goes there again.
Fastball away. He came in, miss in.
Well, Lee's a guy who can drive that fastball to right center, but this is a ballpark, I guess, where you don't fear that.
You really have to, as a pitcher, as you see the defense here, Keith.
A little shade to the right side. You can see Pagan out there. Slight shade, not much. This is a big park, and it plays in favor of the Mets, not the Cubs. The Cubs are used to Wrigley, and you look at Zambrano there. They're big power hitters here. This is a big yard, and it's going to contain them.
Ball 4, and Lee is on with a 2-out walk. So Pelfrey, who did not walk a batter in his last start in Colorado, walked 1 in his relief outing on Saturday. He issues a first-inning walk. Here's Ramirez, who went 0 for 4 last night. 17 strikeouts in his first 51 at-bats this year.
It's more than twice the number of hits he has.
Well, he was beating himself up after the game yesterday, Ramirez. He feels as though he is the key to this offense for the Cubs, and they are not producing right now.
Well, he's got to stop swinging for the fences. It just seems to me that he's over swinging and just all or nothing. I remember him around 3, 4, 5 years ago being a lot bigger.
In the air to right, and Francoeur drifting over to make the grab and end the inning. So a hitless first inning for Mike Pelfrey, and the Mets come to bat against Zambrano. No score.
By the way,
here's your Mets starting lineup tonight. Brought to you by Geico. Jose Reyes, after not starting last night, back in the lineup tonight. Ike Davis, second big league game, hitting .500 in the majors. Jeff Francoeur has cooled off, 0 for his last 14 after a blistering start. Hottest hitter in the lineup right now, Angel Pagan, who's batting 7th.
Zambrano's numbers so far. That first start, 8 earned runs, an inning and a third, 106 and 69 in his career, and 241 starts.
Reyes takes a strike. Jose came off the bench last night and wound up scoring the go-ahead run after being hit by a pitch. But 0 for his last 18. And the good sinker by Zambrano, 0-2.
Jose's just got to stay short and compact right now. Get his stroke back. Don't try to do too much. Just get to your base hits. Hit line drives. He's got a chance on anything that's on the ground to beat out. Just get a rhythm going and get into the flow of the season.
Luis Castillo and David Wright to follow.
Well, they said this the other day. Zambrano came out. He was throwing about 87, 88 miles an hour, just throwing the spots, gave up a couple of base runners and a run, and was at 94, 95 the rest of the first inning. A strange way to approach the first inning.
Reyes floats one over the third baseman's head, and he's got himself a base hit. Well, that snaps the 0 for 18 for Jose Reyes. Just putting back to ball to get aboard.
Well, it's like a little splitter, or do you throw a splitter, Ronnie, or that just change up?
A little change up,
and that turns it over. That is, there it is. There's the split finger. You got it. That's why they call it a splitter. That's cool. That is really cool.
Bud Selig's signature on the way to the plate.
You're right.
Excuse me, Alan Selig. That's what it says on the ball.
Spud.
Here's Luis Castillo riding a 6-game hitting streak. And he takes away from Zambrano. Castillo has had more success against Zambrano than he's had against any other pitcher. He's 9 for 17 with 8 walks against Carlos Zambrano. That's a .680 on base percent.
Well, Zambrano just doesn't look the same to me. Look at that, 87.
You always feel like he's uncomfortable in the first couple innings. You know, with that stat, Gary, and the reticency of, well, that's not a good word, sorry. Reyes being reticent to run, hit and run would be a great play.
Did they teach you that word at Yale?
Oh, jeez, I'm so, pardon me. Pardon me.
And with that, with those numbers, you hate to see Castillo bunting here and giving away an out.
No, listen, he's not throwing great right now. Jump on him.
Agreed.
Zambrano in the 3rd year of a 5-year deal that's paying him $90 million. Last year on the disabled list a couple of times, that limited his starts, and he won just 9 games. Reyes has 1 steal since returning a week and a half ago, and that was an uncontested steal of 3rd in Colorado. Two and 1 to Castillo as Lee holds against Reyes. And Castillo lofts a base hit to center, and he continues his ownership of Zambrano, and the Mets have the first 2 men on.
Zambrano hurt twice in a row with the off-speed pitch.
Not hitting it very hard, Keith, but
it looked like a fastball right there.
I think you're right. I think that was a fastball just off the end of the bat from Louis.
It's just a little out in front. Zambrano is just not to have the velocity we're used to seeing.
You know, it's funny, Keith, you say that. You say, how can Castillo be out in front of a fastball? Well, they're used to seeing 94 and 95 from Zambrano.
So here's David Wright with the table set, 1st and 2nd and nobody out. David 1 for 3 last night. Just 3 for his last 21. And way outside with the slider, 1-0. And Zambrano just all over the place in the early going.
Does it seem like Zambrano's throwing a little more sidearm than normal run?
Yeah, it does. You know, he's had some problems with his fingers getting numb, and he has really dropped that arm slot.
Yeah, Wright takes the fastball for a strike, 1-1. That's about where he's topping out now, 90 miles an hour. Last year he had a hamstring problem, he had a back problem, and you wonder whether those things cause you to change your motion a little bit. Comes over the top, and David lines one to left, but Soriano in front of it to make the grab. And Castillo's got to hustle to get back to first. So Wright hit the ball hard. First ball the Mets have hit hard, but Wright adds Soriano.
Well, we'll take a look. We'll take a look at the swing, and you know it's funny, this extra with slow motion. The one thing you lose is the swing looks more mechanical, doesn't it, at this slowest speed? But you're able to see the breakdown. I've never seen a swing broken down that slowly.
You don't see the whip.
Right. It looks more like everybody's a robot when they swing.
Here's Jason Bay, who had a good night with the bat last night. 2 hits, including a double, and he drove in a run, trying to snap out of an early season funk.
You know, that ultra slow, what I love about it, you see how great these athletes are. They hold that position so long before they release the bat.
Carlos Zambrano has been around a long time. He is only 28 years old. You think about his career and you think it's got to be older than that. He came up in 2001 with the Cubs when he was just 20. It was a fastball by Bay, 1-2.
It's one of the reasons they gave him that big contract, because he looks so young.
Well, Bay has tremendous top hand too. Now let's watch that top hand. He's out a little out in front there. See how he flips that wrist over? That's called a top hand swing. David Wright does that. That's an excellent example of top hand hitting right there.
Reyes and Castillo aboard with 1 out. Jeff Francoeur hitting 5th in the order, waiting on deck. Jason Bay has 5 career home runs against Zambrano in just 39 at bats. Of course, they were in the same division for a long time when Bay was with the Pirates. And a long look, nobody covering. Mike Davis in the hole. 2-2 to Bay, struck him out. So Zambrano has his first strikeout. That's the 20th time Bay has struck out his first 50 at bats.
It's been a struggle for Jason. Out in front, he keep the ball down on him. He has a little bit of difficulty, and I think it's because of that top hand. That bat's got to come when the top hand's got the bat's got to come with it. I wish I could demonstrate, but he's definitely a high ball hitter.
That's why he's so effective with that high ball, Keith, because he gets on top of it with that top hand.
David Wright's got 16 strikeouts himself in the first 13 ball games.
Francoeur chasing a fastball away. 93 all of a sudden from Zambrano.
And the Coors Light Cubby defense, and Fontenot, as Gary said earlier, first start since 2007 at shortstop. Fukudomi back in the outfield and right.
And Francoeur goes after that one. It's 0-2. Jeff has cooled down mightily. 0 for his last 14.
Well, the hot streaks only last for so long.
And also, the first 2 pitches were balls there. So Francoeur was doing a much better job when he was hot, taking those pitches off the strike zone.
Oh,
and a nice stop by Coy Hill.
Wow.
He had that glove turned the wrong way and somehow managed to corral it.
Well, this is just pure reaction here. It's a tough chance. Nice play.
See how he moved that body towards the pitcher? It's almost like you're closing the gap, making that a little shorter, that hop, instead of that big higher hop.
Like a goalie coming out to cut down the angle. Struck him out. Well, quite a recovery by Zambrano after the Mets got the first 2 men on. Back-to-back strikeouts at Bay and Francoeur to keep it scoreless going to the second. By Mazda. Zoom, zoom, forever. Marlon Byrd leads off the second inning for Chicago. Byrd drove in the only run for the Cubs last night and went 3 for 4. And takes a slider for ball 1 from Pelfrey.
No, Marlon batted in the leadoff spot last night against the left-hander.
6 for 9 over the last 2 games. A bright spot right now for the former Texas Ranger. Spent the last 3 years in Texas after beginning in the National League with the Phillies and the Nationals. Well, the last time we saw him in the National League with Washington, he couldn't hit a lick.
Well, I think one of the problems that Marlon had was he was trying to figure out what kind of hitter he was. He's a big guy that's always been told, hey, we need you to hit more long balls. And he's not that kind of hitter, even though he had 20 home runs last year. He's got great speed. He's a great guy at hitting the breaking ball. And if you want to get him out, you're going to have to rush him in. You can get a lot of broken bat outs with Marlon.
6 feet 245. There was a time in his life when Marlon was suffering through a leg injury and ballooned to 315 pounds. Yeah. So he really had to battle with his weight.
Did you see his front foot, Keith? Double tap.
Yes, and that was a swing where he got beat. He fell back on his back foot big time.
And Pelfrey strikes him out with a splitter. Second strikeout for Mike. That splitter is going to give him a lot more strikeouts.
Split finger has saved so many pitchers' careers. It's such a lethal pitch.
So 1 out for Mike Pelfrey in the second. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Just a couple of tidbits on Pelfrey, guys. You touched on his effort Saturday, basically calling for the ball in that 20th inning and coming out getting the save despite 70 pitches in the pen, despite working with weights earlier in the day. And one Met player told me, think about this. Think about where he was last year with his confidence, and then to have the ability to stand up and tell the manager you want in the game. To me, that just puts him up another couple of levels. Meanwhile, for the game tonight, Jerry Manuel did tell me this. Despite how much he loved that play by Pelfrey, he said it moves him to the top of the gangster list as Wright will put this one away for the second out. He said, I do envision, though, because of that, we're going to have to take that inning back today. So maybe his outing today could be shortened by an inning of what it could be. But we'll see how he looks going on, guys.
Probably will depend on his pitch count. He threw 22 in the opening inning. Here's what Mike's trying to accomplish tonight. In the last 25 years, there's only been one pitcher to win starts 5 or fewer days apart with a save in between. That was John Candelaria 22 years ago with the Yankees. So he's trying to get a win, a save, and a win in a 5-day span. And again, it hasn't been done in 22 years.
Wow.
Now, there was a time in the game when it wouldn't be all that uncommon for a starting pitcher to be asked to work between starts out of the bullpen, but not these days. Late swing by Mike Fontenot, 1-1.
I know that Tom Seaver used to always tell me that he'd make his last start before the All-Star game, maybe on a Friday night. He'd say to Gil, hey, I'm in the bullpen on Sunday. And I said, well, why would you do that? He goes, get a little cheap win out there. Come in the 6th, 7th inning.
Oh.
Well, going back a little further, Dizzy Dean, back with the Gas House gang, he would routinely come in out of the bullpen to get victories.
We have to watch Pelfrey very closely. He's starting to stretch that right leg, quad, and hip in warm-ups and then just then after that pitch.
2-2 to Fontenot.
Well, there was back in those days, Gare, 20s and 30s, you had pitchers that would get, 36 starts and they have like 15 relief appearances.
And in those days, the scoring rules weren't as strict, and Dean picked up some wins.
Yes, he did. He picked up one he shouldn't have had.
2-2 to Fontenot, who drives one down the left field line foul. Dizzy, of course, is the last National League pitcher to win 30 games in a season.
And the other things that they would do for you people at home for the ye old days is that a lot of times the pitchers in between starts, they would be the batting practice pitchers. They would come out instead of throwing on the side, they would be throwing to their hitters.
Didn't have quite as many coaches in those days. 2-2 to Fontenot. And a late swing foul.
Boy, he's just set up for something inside. Very stiff swinger. He locks his hips up a little bit when he strides, more than a little bit.
He was a home run hitter in college, Keith. 17 home runs at LSU his freshman year.
Played alongside Ryan Terrio for the Fighting Tigers of LSU. 2-2. All the way, and reunited here in
here with the Cubs after Fontenot was a #1 draft pick by the Orioles.
Only problem here is when one plays, the other one's sitting down.
Well, the thing about it is that Lou's trying so hard to get some offense tonight. He's put Fontenot in there against the right-hander playing shortstop, which he hasn't done in years. So he'll give up a little defense to try and get some offense. Just off the corner, kind of like Kevin Mitchell playing shortstop.
That's right.
Remember that?
Hojo. Hubie Brooks used to play shortstop in '85.
David used to always go with the more power team with Sid because Sid was a fly ball pitcher.
But that's interesting that Lou's doing that with Zambrano, who's a sinker ball pitcher. And he's got Fontenot in there at short.
I think I said Hubie '85, Hubie '84, of course.
Well, Hubie was part of that, was the big guy in the trade for Gary Carter. Right. We weren't going to get Gary Carter for free.
Mike Fitzgerald also going to that deal. Floyd Yeomans.
Herm Winningham.
Just too bad Gary's knees went south. You know, he just had so many years of catching, and his knees, I mean, it was painful to watch him. Ball 4 there, just missed.
Pelfrey thought he had that. He was headed toward the dugout.
And it was inside.
Second walk given up by Pelfrey. They both come with 2 out.
Just missed.
I think that shows you that pitch that Mike expects to come back out over the plate, and it stayed pretty true.
So a 2-out walk, and the #8 hitter Coy Hill will bat. Hill, the switch hitting catcher, making his 4th start of the year, giving Giovanni Soto a night off.
Kevin, a couple years ago, last year, Kevin Burkhardt had Gene Stevenson, who was the coach for the Wichita State, where Mike Pelfrey went. So did Coy Hill. So shocker versus shocker here.
Shocker.
Who's he root for?
He was a shocker.
To right field, Frank Corrigan a late start in, but grabs it to end the inning. So Pelfrey with 2 hitless innings under his belt. No score going to the bottom of the second.
Me? Yeah, well, you.
Yes.
To hit a home run in their major league debuts.
I bet you Gary knows that.
Well, one of them we just mentioned in the trade for Carter.
I know the Mets who homered in their first at bat. One of them is that guy.
Yeah.
The others a little more difficult.
Well, there's another guy that was here also.
Fitzy.
That hit one in his first at bat. You know,
just departed.
Yes, just.
Ike Davis for his second big league game takes a fastball outside. Yeah, there are 3 Mets who have homered in their first major league at bat. But then there were 3 other guys who homered in their first big league game. Davis with a good rip fouls back. I thought it was very interesting after the game yesterday. Jerry Manuel said his most impressive moment from Davis yesterday was not the 2 hits, but the one he hit to right center.
Because Jerry thought that Ike took a shot to go downtown. And thinking that, that they needed a big hit. It was 1-1 at the time. And Jerry was impressed that the young player knew the circumstance, 2 outs, taking a shot at an extra base hit.
And Davis with a good eye gets ahead of the count, 3-1. Ike was hitting .364 at Buffalo with a .500 on base percentage. And we saw it this spring, too. He is not an anxious hitter.
No, he's not. He's got a good idea of the strike zone for a very young hitter, and that's a plus. He hitting counts like 3-1.
Now back. Now, if you're a pitcher in these circumstances, first time around, how do you test a rookie like this, Ron?
I'd pop him inside. I'll tell you that right now. I'd like to see how he reacts to something right at his belly button. How he gets out of the way. Can he turn on it? Because if he turns on something inside, then that tells me he's got to be open away.
Zambrano keeping it away from him. And Davis fouls it off, running out that foul ball.
3-2 change. Ronnie, who would you say it reminds you of? He's got the long arms. He kind of doesn't step in the bucket, but he kind of is ready to hit that ball inside, and if the ball's away, he's got that long reach. I can't think of the hitter he reminds me of.
Yeah,
it's driving me crazy.
I was saying last night that it was remind me of Olerud, but no, Olerud was a lot quieter.
Strike 3 called as Zambrano runs a fastball by him. That's 3 consecutive strikeouts for Zambrano. And the first out of the inning.
Well, that's a good pitch here. That's a 4-seamer away, Keith.
That might have missed. Hey, you're a rookie. You're not going to get those calls.
No. You just get your bat and go back to the dugout. Don't say a word.
0-1 away. Here's Angel Pagan, whose 2-run homer put the Mets in front in the 7th inning last night. Angel's been swinging the bat very well and pretty much has taken over the center field job.
Well, here's the big bomb last night. The Mets went ahead for good, and that's a fastball. Mid-thigh in, and he just hit that ball a long way right there. 384.
Broke a 1-1 tie, hit it off the left-hander James Russell.
You notice that Pagan has made less mistakes in the base running department this year, and as far as playing outfield, throwing the wrong bases.
Well, he got away with one the other night when Wainwright had him trapped off first base and threw the ball down the line.
Well, I missed that game.
But nonetheless, you're right. I think that he's got a lot of good advice from Carlos Beltran. I think that's where it really started over the winter and this spring.
And with confidence, he's a less frenetic player. He seems like he's under control a lot more than he has the last couple of seasons.
3-1 to Pagan. And Angel drives one into right field. Fukudome does a great job cutting it off, and Pagan will hold at first base. That's an outstanding defensive play by Fukudome. Saved at least 1 base and maybe 2.
Well, this ball gets by, and that's 3. Boy, he just got it. It was just getting there. It was the reaction off the bat. That is the play. I mean, it's a long hop right there, and it's a play an outfielder should make, but it's all about getting the jump to get to the ball.
So the Mets have their 3rd hit against Zambrano, and now Henry Blanco looking for his first hit as a Met.
Tattoo on his forearm looks like one of those 1950 hot rods. The decals.
Strike called to Blanco, who is catching Pelfrey for the 2nd straight start.
Well, Henry Blanco has caught Zambrano enough. He's got to know the way that Zambrano likes to go about getting hitters out. Absolutely knows the break on his slider and changeup.
Pagan always a threat to steal a base. And low inside to Blanco with the sinker, 1-1. Well, Pelfrey was effusive in his praise for Henry Blanco after the start in Colorado. Steals last year for Angel. Pelfrey on deck. Blanco pokes it foul. They hit that ball through that big hole on the right side of the infield.
Blanco, high fastball, enough out of the strike zone. Good cut by Blanco. 0 for 9 so far this year. See the defense? Slightly. I just don't know why Soriano is leaving such a big gap. I mean, he's playing like a dead pull hitter. Can we see that again, Mr. Webb, the outfield defense? I mean, look at this outfield defense. Look at here. So shallow, Fukudomi. Center fielder's kind of shaded to the right of center field. Look at deep. Look at all this right here. Oh, my word.
Keith, I think they're at a point with Soriano that, sir, play wherever you're comfortable. We're not going to put him in a place that can't perform a normal outfield defense with him, because if you put him in the wrong place, he wants to hug that line.
But I guess the question is, why is that? Because he feels he can run better to his glove side?
Yes. I mean, he doesn't like going the other way. So
1-2 from Zambrano, and the breaking ball strikes out Blanco. So that's 4 strikeouts for Zambrano in the first inning and 2/3. And we'll bring up Pelfrey with a man on.
That's a hanger right there, but it broke down under the bat, and Blanco's a high ball hitter. A little blind downstairs.
See what Zambrano's accomplished over the last 7 years. But just 9 wins last season and struggling to start this year. Now facing Pelfrey, who was a .500 hitter this year, 2 for 4. That's why he was expecting to get the call on Saturday. The only player who didn't play for the Mets in that game of the 25 on the roster was Oliver Perez, and he was on deck at one point to pinch hit. But Pelfrey took a different role. Jose Reyes waiting on deck, hoping Pelfrey can keep the inning alive. And 2-1.
Zambrano's really getting frustrated by home plate umpire Todd Tichenor's strike zone. We saw last night Jeff Nelson had a pretty generous strike zone, a little smaller today.
And now it's 3-1 to Pelfrey. Now Tichenor, the least experienced on this crew, calling the balls and strikes. Jeff Kellogg, the crew chief at first base, with Mark Carlson and Jeff Nelson riding the crew, and Pelfrey draws the walk. So Mike continues to produce offensively, and Zambrano's frustration grows. The Mets with 2 men on.
You can work, that's Larry Rothschild that you saw there. You can work on the side. You can have skull sessions on how to get players out. You can develop a game plan for your pitcher. But if he walks the pitcher, how do you defend that?
Zambrano's always been a high walk guy. Walked as many as 115, and that was in a good season in 2006 when he went 16-7. 2 out and 2 on for Reyes, and he takes up and in for ball 1. Reyes floated a base hit just to the outfield grass behind the third baseman to snap an 0 for 18 in the first inning. Pagan and Pelfrey aboard with 2 down.
And all of a sudden he's just, he blows up like a volcano. And he's been in the league long enough, and he should have matured enough to just say, throw that walk away and move on.
Well, we know how good Zambrano could be. He threw a no-hitter 2 years ago up in Milwaukee against the Astros. But we've seen him at his best and at his worst against the Mets.
I don't think he's ever learned how to pitch to contact. I think he's always wanted to be a power guy that strikes out a lot of guys. He's got such great movement.
That's the thing. I mean, he could be a tremendous ground ball pitcher.
Absolutely. And hardly any pitches. This is his fastball, 2-seamer, and really just challenge Reyes. How he does let that out in front.
And now it's 3-1 to Jose.
And throws a 2-1 changeup or whatever that is he's throwing, and he's trying to find his rhythm, and you got a guy in the on-deck circle that's had great success on him. You look at the defense, you see Soriano hasn't moved. You've got Grassman
Reyes drives one toward the gap in left center. Bird's not going to get there, and it goes all the way to the wall. That brings home Pagan. Here comes Pelfrey turning third. The relay throw to the plate, not in time. A 2-run triple for Jose Reyes, and the Mets lead 2-0. Well, he got himself off the schneid with a soft hit. This time he drives one to bring home 2. First triple of the year for Reyes.
Hits it right where it's pitched. Nicely done, Jose. He's been pulling off a little bit. That's the way to get it going. Now, watch if we can get another angle of this. The runners, watch the second baseman if we can. They got Reyes out third, dead to rights. And Pelfrey wouldn't have got home in time. And that's the job of the trailer, which would have been the second baseman, to come in behind the shortstop and say 3-3-3.
Way inside to Castillo, who has to spin.
Here's Jose with the wheels.
That's the use of the ultra low right there. There's a strike to Castillo. But it's nice to see Jose turning up the throttle a little bit. Castillo singled to center his first time up. Now 10 for 18 against Zambrano. So it keeps it away from him, 2-1.
Well, Zambrano's going to kick himself for walking the pitcher.
And then throwing those 2 changeups to Reyes, put himself 3-1. But Reyes knew a fastball was coming.
He hasn't thrown inside now either.
One to Castillo here. That was it.
The shortstop, Fontenot, throws him out to end the inning. On a 2-out, 2-run triple off the bat of Jose Reyes. His 74th career triple, his first this year. First of how many? As Reyes legs it out and Pelfrey legs home. And just like that, the Mets grab a 2-0 lead. The third inning as Reyes's triple brought home 2 runs. Question is whether it had to be that way.
Well, Reyes has made up his mind he's going to go to third, and it's ill-advised that he's going to do this. And Jose, we've seen him make up his mind a lot of times in advance. He's going to stretch it. Now, here's the relay in, and we're going to freeze it right at the catch. Now, he's in the proper position right here, Baker. He could be a little bit closer. He can, once he knows the throw's coming in and it's going to be on target, move towards him and say, also look behind. Look at Reyes' shadow. He's out by a mile going 3-3-3. You got him.
And you see the third baseman calling for the ball.
Now, you've got Reyes at third. Pelfrey, he's going to be out. Pelfrey's not going to score. They're going to tag Reyes out before Pelfrey gets home. Those are the little things.
Actually, could you run that again? Because I thought that the third baseman was asking for the ball. He was pointing home.
He was pointing home. Ramirez wanted him to throw it home.
Got him at third.
Sometimes the infielders get a little premeditated in their thinking because the pitcher, Pelfrey, was running.
So let me ask you a question. You say the second baseman is trailing, has to call that. Isn't part of the responsibility on the third baseman to call the cut and where to throw?
No, because he can't hear him.
Can't hear it in stadiums like this.
The trailer is behind the guy.
See, Ramirez pointing home.
I understand, but Ramirez is wrong. All right? And he's got to get closer. Get closer to him.
You know what he's got to do there, Keith, right? He's got to side saddle. Baker's got to be looking at the ball and the runner at the same time.
Gary, whenever I trailed, okay, a ball hit down the right field line and the second baseman was out, and I was trailing the second baseman. Once I saw the right fielder make the throw, and it was on target, he wasn't going to overthrow it. I'm there to back up in case it's an overthrow. Once I saw the throw was on line, and I make that decision 30 feet out of the guy's hand, then I would rush towards the second baseman and yell where to throw.
2-2 to Zambrano. Let me ask you one more question about the play, and that is Fontenot's the guy handling the ball, the shortstop.
Correct.
He has not started the game at shortstop in 3 years.
Yes.
How much of an issue is that he's a little skittish maybe?
He's going to be, I think because of that, he's going to rely more on the trailer to tell him where to throw.
So he got the wrong information.
He got no information. That was the problem.
Zambrano down looking, and Pelfrey has his third strikeout, so he takes care of maybe the best hitting pitcher in the game.
Zambrano yet to get a hit this year. Now 0 for 7.
Well, this is the fastball he threw before, but see, this one came back a little more. I think Zambrano's probably saying to himself as he looked at this two-seamer from Pelfrey that I want that pitch when I go back out there.
So Pelfrey, 3 strikeouts first time through the order. And now Kosuke Fukudome, who grounded out to short, leading off the game. Well, Pelfrey now has 14 consecutive scoreless innings in his pocket. And a curveball to start off Fukudome. He threw him on the first at bat.
Excellent.
Very nice strike to ball ratio for Mike.
Pitch count up there only because the first inning had those 3-2 counts.
And then he had that 10 pitch at bat with Fontenot in the last inning. One to Fukudome. And that's knee high for a strike. 1-2.
So first pitch curveball, second pitch backdoor slider, sinker away, set up for a split finger if he wants to throw it. No, he likes the fastball in.
1-2. Missed inside this time. So he's got a couple of different ways to go for a strikeout pitch.
Isn't it fun to watch a pitcher with a purpose on every pitch?
Jeff Baker on deck. And a full count to Fukudome.
It's funny, his split finger isn't as good as it was in Colorado. So you have to identify that as a pitcher, and maybe slider and curveball are his better pitchers here early in the game.
And he walks Fukudome, so a walk in each of the first 3 innings for Pelfrey, providing the only impediment right now. So now 1 out and 1 on. And Jeff Baker coming to the plate. Baker struck out his first time up.
I'd be surprised if Lou doesn't put the hit and run, do something to try to get this Cubby offense going. Been stagnant. They're station to station, base to base.
They're waiting to hit home runs. Cubs have 16 home runs through their first 13 games, 3rd in the league, but they are 13th in the league in runs scored. Up and away to Baker, 1-1.
See that grip by Pelfrey. He's unusual that he holds that sinker right on the threads, and most guys are inside the threads when they throw that, but Mike's hands are so big that it almost wraps over the ball.
It's almost on that release like he's inside the ball.
Yeah,
that provides that movement.
Every pitcher has a favorite part of the ball. You think about Al Leiter or Andy Pettit, they like to be on the outside of the ball. Mike's just the opposite. He likes to be on the inside of the ball.
2-1, good hit run count if Piniella wants to call it. Runner not going, and Baker fouls it back.
What I meant by that is you think about guys like Al Leiter, threw a lot of cutters and sliders. When he gets on the baseball, his favorite side is to be on the outside of the baseball. Well, Mike, when he's throwing, outside would be over here. He likes to be on the inside of the baseball, and that's why he gets that good sink. Every pitcher has a favorite side.
And you?
I was the inside of the baseball guy. Same as Mike.
Pitch count rising for Pelfrey, 57 with 1 out in the third. And with Jerry Manuel talking about limiting him by an inning today, that could hurt him. To short, could be 2. Reyes plays the hop to Castillo and on to first for the 6-4-3 double play that gets Pelfrey through the third. Ball specialist, but now he's got another weapon to get ground balls with.
Well, it's nice. He gets into the glove, he disguises it, and there's the split finger. That fourth finger right on the seam, that middle finger on the white part of the baseball, and he lets it go right out in front of his head. You have to make sure a split finger can't let it release at the same part of your head. It's got to be in front of you.
David Wright leading off the last of the third. David hit a bullet to left that was caught his first time up. Mets have 4 hits. The Cubs have no hits. 2-0 New York in the third.
I'm just figuring out what we're going to do without that Ultra Mo when we go on the road. It's a great new toy.
Slider off the plate, 2-1 to right with Bay and Francoeur to follow as the Mets look to muscle up on Carlos Zambrano here in the third. After Reyes' 2-run triple in the second. The first triple for Reyes since April of last year. You forget sometimes just how much time he missed. But Jerry predicted yesterday that after the day off he would come back today and be the Reyes of old, and so far he hasn't disappointed.
Jerry masquerading as Nostradamus. Very nice.
Back to Zambrano. And Wright retired for the first out.
Was he riding in quatrains?
There'll be the evil sun will rain upon.
Here's Jason Bay, who struck out his first time up. You guys educate me.
That's one word.
For a struck to Bay.
Well, they had to hide the fact that they were forecasting, because they would have been condemned to death for being agents of the devil.
Burned at the stake.
That's right. It was during the Spanish Inquisition, I believe,
yes.
that Nostradamus was writing those revelatory quatrains.
And Bay down on 3 pitches, struck out for the 2nd time tonight. Run the bases this Saturday at Citi Field following the Mets afternoon game against the Braves with the Mr. Met Dash for all kids 12 and under on Saturday. For tickets, call Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX.
I heard from one of our friends here that was at the St. Louis ballpark, Busch Stadium, that after the 20-inning game, they had the kids come out and run around the bases.
I thought they had a high school game there.
They had that also after the kids came out and ran around the bases.
At 11 o'clock, huh? No, kind of like 1985 shooting off the fireworks at 4 in the morning. If you promise it to people, you got to come through.
A war of the worlds.
How many phone calls to the police department did I get that night? Two-1 to Francoeur. Low and away. Jeff struck out his first time up, stretching his hitless streak to 15 at bats.
Oh, right down the pipe.
Mike Davis getting set for his 2nd at bat of the night. Three-2 to Francoeur, and he struck him out. So Francoeur has struck out for the 2nd time. That's 6 of them for Zambrano through the first 3. But the Mets with a 2-0 lead. Now let's go to Matt Cerrone from MetsBlog.com at the Verizon studio for an update on what the fans are thinking. Derek Lee leads off the 4th inning for Chicago. Lee drew a walk his first time up, one of 3 walks given up by Mike Pelfrey, the only 3 base runners against him. And Lee shatters his bat. Ike Davis back to make the grab. So Ike secures the bloop. And Kevin Burkhardt is standing by with Ike's parents.
That's pretty good timing, huh? I mean, we've got Ike. Indeed, we do have Ike's parents. We have Ron and Kendall over here. And we'll start with Mom, Kendall. We've got a major league dad and a major league son here. So what's the toughest thing to deal with at home? What's the concept for you?
Listening to them talk about baseball. No, actually, there's neither one of them is tough. They're both exceptional players and wonderful men, and they have a good relationship, and I have a wonderful time watching them do what they do together. It's really actually very special.
Pretty neat. You know, Ron, I have a question for you. You played with Lou Piniella as a former Yankee, so did you happen to put in a call and maybe ask for a favor as Ramirez to Castillo for the second out? Did you have a little conversation there, maybe give you a little help for Ike for his first game?
Yeah, I told him I did call Lou. I did call him my text, and I said, why don't you throw the first one right down and let him try to get his first home run. But no, Lou and I played together for 5 years, and he's a great coach. And, you know, it's just great to see Ike out here. And that was his first punch-out. It was the greatest punch-out I've seen. So I love to watch him play. So it don't matter if he gets a hit or a strikeout. It's all fun to watch.
How did you introduce the game to him? I mean, he was born, you were what was he, 2 when you were late in your career here? So, I mean, how did you introduce the game to him?
Japan, when we went to Japan, but I mean, Ike just picked up the game on himself. He would go into in the house, into the kitchen, and get the saran wrap and just tear off the saran wrap. And the little plastic stick, little cardboard stick, he'd pick up the saran wrap and started hitting it when he was at 2 years old. So he's been in love with the game, so he didn't have to be introduced.
Did you have any trepidation about pushing the game on him as David Wright will throw out more? But I'll tell you, we're going to come back with you guys. I don't want to let you go just yet. Nice sitting for Mike Pelfrey. We'll come back with the Davises. Mets in front thanks to Jose Reyes over the Cubs at Citi Field.
Ike Davis leading off for the Mets in the bottom of the 4th, and when he's done hitting, we'll go back to his parents with Kevin. Don't want to disturb them, though, while they're watching Ike take his at bat.
Mom's praying.
Oh, wow. That's the way the moms usually look when they're watching their boys.
Getting a lot of off-speed stuff from Mr. Zambrano. Another one.
2-1 to Davis, who took a call third strike his first time up on a 3-2 pitch. Has to move his feet, and it's 3-1.
What do you think, Keith? Zambrano going to challenge him here? Leadoff hitter, you got it, right? I would think. Yeah, fastball away, fastball in.
And he pulls it down to first base with Derek Lee playing the line, handles it for the first out. So we'll get the critique now from Dad as we go back to Kevin.
Well, we'll start with Kendall. You know, what's the difference? You were at home, you had a big party last night, so now you're here. What's the difference watching this in person?
I'm more nervous. For one thing, there's not 40 or 50 people around in our house, and food and preparing and serving people. I can just watch. That's the best part of all. But for some reason, I'm a little more nervous.
Ron, the former professional pitcher, as you're watching your sons at bats, You know, how does that work in your mind for you? I mean, are you kind of visualizing how you would pitch to him there?
Well, sure. You learn what, like Sobrano, how he pitches, and then I try to tell Ike how the guys want to try to pitch. But yeah, you always try to see how guys pitch him, and then you figure how, like the first game yesterday, they threw a lot of off-speed pitches, and they're going to say, hey, this is how we're going to try to get him out in a 4-game series like this. Every pitcher's want to try to throw off-speed, so that's what I would be, when I talk to him tonight, say, hey, you got to stay back and hit the off-speed, because that's how they're trying to get you out there. Not want to throw you a lot of fastballs.
We all have our opinions as Angel Pagan bats here. We all kind of talked on the air, obviously, a lot about Ike yesterday, but how about for you? What kind of hitter is he? What do you see from your son as Pagan? It's a Soriano here, and he's retired. Well, give us the scouting report from your angle about what type of hitter Ike is.
Ike's a contact hitter. He'll still strike out a little bit, but he's a good contact hitter, meaning he'll hit a lot of doubles for you. He'll get a lot of base hits for you. He might strike out, but he's going to get a lot of hits. More doubles than home runs. A lot more doubles than home. He's more of a line drive hitter than a home run hitter.
Is it more thrilling for you to have had your career and have a chance to play for the Yankees and set up for Goose and all that thing? Or is it more thrilling for you to be sitting here tonight watching your son, fulfill his dream as a base knock for Henry Blanco? That's the question for you.
It's always more thrilling to see your sons do anything. We have 4 boys and another girl. Another girl and a girl. It's always thrilling to see what your children do. Since I played, it was great, but it's even greater to see him, because when I played, you didn't think about it. You just went out and did it. But now you're sitting in the stands and you're going, it's a lot more different to watch your son play than you actually play.
Well, Kendall and Ron, thanks so much for the time. I'll let you go back and actually watch the game in peace, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all,
guys. That was very cool with the Davises. Let's go back to you.
No question about it. And we all know how nerve-wracking it can be watching our children play, but to watch them play in the big leagues, something else. Mike Pelfrey grounds one to short. And Fontenot with the flip. Henry Blanco, after picking up his first hit as a Met, is forced. And Pelfrey heads back to the mound with 4 hitless innings under his belt and a 2-0 lead. And Adam Shine debate this week's Mets-Cubs series and take on all the top New York sports stories of the day on the next Loudmouths, presented by Geico, weekdays at 6 p.m. only on SNY. Now Mike Pelfrey now with 16 consecutive scoreless innings as he heads into the 5th with a 2-0 lead. He's walked 3, he's struck out 3, and is not allowed to hit as Alfonso Soriano starts the 5th inning. Soriano grounded out to David Wright his first time up. It'll be 6, 7, and 8 in the Cubs order here in the 5th.
Big inning here. If he can get through this 6, 7, 8, pitcher leading off.
behind on Soriano now 2-0, and Blanco's going to run the ball back out to him. Well, we mentioned a little bit earlier the fact that Blanco is catching Pelfrey for the second straight start, and Pelfrey was effusive in his praise for Henry after they got together in Colorado.
But you see what happened right there? Pelfrey missed with 2 pitches. His head went down. As soon as Blanco saw that, he ran out there, trying to lift him up, say, no big deal. Come on, let's get a good quality pitch. Get Soriano out. The relationship between pitcher and catcher is unlike any in baseball.
And I think another important thing, Gary, is that Pelfrey likes Blanco, and Jerry's probably got Blanco in there. They want to nurture Mike along and to keep that confidence going. But Mike has to grow and realize that he's much younger than Blanco. Blanco's not going to be around forever, and you don't want him to become dependent on a catcher. You want him to be able to pitch to any catcher. There might be a handful here that you prefer to pitch to.
Soriano lofts one shallow left. On comes Bay to make the running grab. He was playing very deep against Soriano and had to come a long distance to catch that ball for the first out.
Nope. Bay gets a good jump here. Now, Bay, I'll tell you what, he runs better than you think. And I thought he was a lot slower, and he covers a lot more ground. An excellent base runner, and he makes that play handily.
Don't you love how he saw him look that ball right into the glove?
Jason Bay, who was presented with the 2009 Tip O'Neill Award before the game today, presented by the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame to the best Canadian player in the game. 3rd time that he's won it. Not that Tip O'Neill.
Line the other way, and Fontenot has the Cubs' first hit. Bay over to play it quickly, and he's going to hold Fontenot to a single. So the Cubs, after 4 1/3 hitless innings from Mike Pelfrey, have their first base hit. Mike gets a nice hand.
Well, that's the way you got to hit the sinker. Right there, go right with it. You try to pull that ball, you're going to play Pepper with second base all night long and go home with a collar around your neck.
And by the way, 2 good plays by Bay in a row there. Getting to that baseball. Sometimes if you just get to it quickly, the guy, when he's rounding first, if he sees you have the ball, he's got to put the brakes on.
So now Coy Hill, who lined out to Frank Corin right his first time up.
Guys, it's you're talking about the relationship with Mike Pelfrey and Henry Blanco, and certainly all those things apply. But, I think Mike also views it as kind of a learning experience because he loved the fact of the communication during the game. Now, I know some pitchers don't want to be talked to between innings, but Pelfrey actually enjoyed it. The Blanco, they would kind of go over strategy for the upcoming inning. He would kind of tell him what he was thinking the inning before, and Pelfrey's kind of soaking it up like a sponge. He's like, I'm just learning about what his thinking is, why he's calling certain pitches here, why later. And I'm really just taking it in. So I think that's another factor to this as well.
Do you think, Ronnie, that a young pitcher working with a veteran catcher can learn more about himself and calling his own game?
I think they, honestly, in my history of it, I learned less because Gary was really the guy who knew the National League as well as any catcher in baseball. And you just climbed on his back and he called the pitches and you went with those pitches 90% of the time. It took after Gary was gone where I developed more of my style.
2-1 to Hill. Pulled toward the hole, a base hit. Fontenot to second. He'll take the turn and hold there. So back-to-back hits from the 7 and 8 hitters, and that'll give Zambrano a chance perhaps to bunt. No guarantee with him.
Yeah, 31 career sacrifice bunts for Zambrano, which is not a lot for a guy that's been playing this long because of his ability to hit.
Well, there's the advantage of having Frank Core in right field. That's why you always want to have your strongest arm out in right field. And we're going to take a look at the pitch differential, and you can see too much plate. And that's right down the pipe. If he gets it here, he gets the ground ball at second base. But with Frank Core in right field, Fontenot had no idea of going to first or third. And, it takes away a sacrifice fly and a run. It's so critical to have a strong arm in right field.
Well, the Mets in at the corners, but not too far in with Zambrano at the plate. Does square, bunts through it. Blanco with the throw, and tagged out is Fontenot. 2 out. You see it all the time when a player bunts through a ball. That runner at second hung out to dry.
I think he's got out in the middle of nowhere land, and he is out. And that'll drive your manager crazy. You just take yourself right out of an inning.
So now 2 out and a runner at first, and Davis tells Hill that he'll play behind him. And Zambrano grounds one out to Reyes, and the flip for the force play, and with the pickoff of Fontenot by Henry Blanco, that made the rest of the inning easy for Mike Pelfrey. Another scoreless inning for Mike, 2-0 New York. Kearney will have plenty to say as they debate the Jets in this week's NFL draft, plus get an inside scoop on the Hot 9 New York sports stories of the day in the next Wheelhouse, presented by Pepsi, weekdays at 5:30 only on SNY. Here's your Delta fifth inning recap. Mike Pelfrey, 5 more scoreless innings. That's 17 in a row now for Pelfrey. Jose Reyes with a 2-run triple in the second, providing the only runs in this game against Carlos Zambrano. And Reyes leads off the home fifth. Jose 2 for 2, a soft single, and then a triple to left center. His first triple since April 29th of last year. He is the Mets' all-time leader in career triples. He has the triples record. David Wright's on the verge of setting the Mets' career doubles record.
Would that be Ed Kranepool?
It would be.
Ed holds most of those hitting records.
Not the home run record.
No.
That one belongs to Strawberry. Let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, talked to Jose Reyes for a long period of time for the game today, and it's interesting. He was talking about getting back on track, and he said, boy, I'd really like to get a triple or a stolen base or two to get going. But, you know, I got the sense from that conversation that the thyroid period when he was out for 3 weeks just really took away the confidence in his body again, because this is a guy, as he pops this one up to the infield, this is a guy that, you know, was so confident in the offseason. I saw him work out, looked so great, felt great about himself. And I think that time sitting on the couch when he came back, it just started a lot of question marks in his own mind. He said, you know what, out of the gate, I asked him if he's running as hard as he normally does, or not as hard, but if he's up to speed there. And he said, well, you know what, out of the gate after the hamstring injury, I mean, he hadn't talked about the hamstring injury in a while, so I thought that was interesting. And then I asked him last night, you had that small lead late in the game when he came on to pinch hit and eventually scored on the Pagan home run. I said, do you have a green light? Did you think about stealing? He said, I have a green light, but I was cold and I was a lefty with a good move. And, you know, again, I don't want to put anything to put myself in a position to maybe get hurt. He hadn't even talked about that hamstring in spring training or for a while. So kind of an interesting dynamic about the confidence level, which was high, sat on the couch, maybe a little low, but maybe that triple really helps him get out of his funk.
Well, it enabled him to at least turn on the afterburners a little bit, something we had not seen over the first week and a half.
Well, I think that so many things have happened in the last 12 months, from hurting his hamstring, trying to come back, not knowing if it was torn or not, having surgery, developing that thyroid problem where you go to yourself, you know, what can happen next? And secondly, being really fearful for your own health.
Castillo floats one towards center field, and he's got another base hit. Castillo just keeps on racking up the hits against Zambrano. That's now 11 for 20.
Little cutter in, didn't get it in enough. Luis stays short and level.
So Castillo riding a 7-game hitting streak. The Mets now have 6 hits on the night against Zambrano. Part of the batting order has been stymied, though. Right Bay, Francoeur, Davis combined 0 for 8 with 5 strikeouts.
David will try to jump on that first pitch fastball.
Castillo stolen 1 base so far this year.
You didn't get it. Changeup.
With some sink.
Jason Bay on deck.
Another one.
Stays soft with right, and it's 0-2. Well, David now just 1 behind Ed Kranepool for the all-time Mets doubles record. Passed by his hitting coach last year. Or should I say hitting instructor?
There, that was Bill Robinson, the first one I ever heard. I was always hitting coach. He said, no, instructor.
Oh, the late Bill Robinson. We miss Bill.
Yes.
What a man he was.
Castillo crawling back. Pretty close play as Castillo went back standing. David is lined to left and hit a comebacker tonight. And right goes down swinging. Zambrano has his 7th strikeout. 2 out in the inning. Let's go back to our AT&T trivia question. We asked you who were the 6 Mets who homered in their big league debuts. Well, there have been 4 who had one in their first at bat.
Yeah.
Benny Ayala, Mike Fitzgerald, Kaz Matsui,
Dave Schneck,
and Mike Jacobs. And then add in Dykstra and Schneck, who did it in their first game.
Lenny did it in his first game against Mario Soto, I believe. They called him up to take Mookie's place. Mookie's shoulder was hurting.
Dave Schneck was the guy opening day in Outline Field when the streaking was very popular, and someone came streaking across the field, and Dave Schneck came from center field and just, I mean, hammered that guy. It was like Ed Schrockman.
Well, you appreciate his effort tackling a naked guy. I don't that.
He just leveled him. I mean, it was a full body blow. Everything was flying everywhere.
Sounds like John Stearns. That's something that Bad Dude would have done. The split from Zambrano. It's 2-1. Well, those are guys who homered in their first big league game. Keith, took you 48 games to hit your first big league homer.
I hit it off my first big league homer.
Yeah.
Yes. So I struggled early.
I
hit it off of Doug Rao in Dodger Stadium.
May 24th, 1975. And Ronnie, I have to point this out because, we like to be equitable here.
Why?
Dave Fried, our statistician, points out it took you 201 games to hit your first big league home run.
And you know what? It took me 202 to hit my second.
That's right.
All that tells you guys at home is there was a lot of bad hitting there before and after.
Doug Rao threw me an up and in fastball. I was struggling, and I don't know how I hit it. I thought it was by me, and I hit it around 15 rows deep in right center field at Dodger Stadium. And I dialed 8 all night.
Long distance. Jason Bay draws a walk. Nobody knows what that means anymore.
Did you have the black cord fever?
I had black cord fever.
Hotel room long distance call.
Remember those days when you had to dial 8 to get out for long distance, 9 for local?
Second walk given up by Zambrano. So the Mets have 2 out and 2 on with Frank Kors settling in. Jeff has been up twice and struck out both times. 7 strikeouts for Zambrano tonight, but he trails 2-0 because Pelfrey's been better. And Frank Kors pops one up. Coming in toward the mound is Fontenot to call. And the inning is over. So a hit, a walk, and 2 left. 5 in the books at Citi Field. Mets and Pelfrey with a 2-0 lead. The batting order for the Cubs as we start the 6th inning, and Kosuke Fukudome takes a strike. Fukudome is grounded to short and walked 0 for 1. Mike Pelfrey working on a string of 17 consecutive scoreless innings.
I'd like to get a shout out, Gary, real quick to Dave Moretti, the security guard that used to always let me in the locker room. We have to sign in when we go into locker rooms, but he'd never let me sign in. He just let me go. He had a little setback in dialysis, and Dave, we're pulling for you, buddy, and we're saying hi and get well soon.
Two 2-1 to Fukudome, and that's in at the knees for a strike. 2-2. Jeff Baker on deck, and then Derek Lee for the Cubs, who scored 1 run last night and have been held scoreless tonight. The Mets continue to get outstanding starting pitching. John Maine has been a bit of a weak link, but the other 4 guys in the rotation have all been holding up their end, and this was a major concern coming out of spring training.
Pitching so far has been very good, starters and relievers.
And, you know, Jerry Manuel, to his credit, is not going off the deep end about it. He said, hey, let's let him go around the rotation a few more times before we start getting excited.
At least 5 times you want to go through that rotation.
But the signs have certainly been encouraging. And we'll find out tomorrow night whether Oliver Perez can build off that good start he made in St. Louis. Bucadome thought he had ball 4, but he goes down looking. 4th strikeout for Pelfrey, 1 down in the 6th. Let's check in with Chris Carlin. He's standing by for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. And more goose eggs here, Chris, for Mike Pelfrey as Jeff Baker grounds one out to Castillo, who gives ground and throws him out 2 away. While we have a moment, I want to pass along our heartfelt condolences to the Colorado Rockies organization following the death of their club president, Kelly McGregor, today, who passed away in Salt Lake City at the far too young age of 48. And the entire baseball world mourning today. And the Rockies, perhaps in Kelly McGregor's honor, have a 10-0 lead in Washington tonight in the 4th inning.
Wow.
That is a terrible, terrible tragedy for the Rockies. And Kelly McGregor was an ex-college football player who leaves a wife and 4 kids, 48 years old. Man. Derek Lee has walked into the soft liner to first, and he drives one to center field, chasing Pagan back a few strides. He makes the grab. A 1-2-3 inning for Mike Pelfrey, who just keeps on rolling. 18 straight scoreless for Pelfrey. Of the 6th inning with Ike Davis to lead off. Here's your Toyota text poll. Text 57508 to participate. Who will have the biggest impact for the Mets this season among the rookies? Jonathan Neese, Ike Davis, or Henry Mejia? That's a good question.
Really good.
Text 57508 or visit sny.tv to cast your ballot. Certainly all 3 have contributed already.
How about being able to vote on 3 homegrown talent? That's great.
Davis is 0 for 2 tonight and takes the off-speed pitch for a strike from Zambrano.
Nothing but off-speed stuff to Mr. Davis.
He's going to pop him inside here once, though.
Zambrano up to 100 pitches on the night, and he came inside and Mike fouled it off.
Good cut.
Zambrano threw 121 pitches in his last start, which lasted just 5 innings. But he's the kind of guy who can go out and give you 120 without a whole lot of problem. Certainly has always been that kind of workhorse. And he gets Davis fishing. Second time he struck out Ike Davis. 8 tonight for Zambrano. And that's the first out of the bottom of the 6th. Well, all 3 of those young players contributed last night. Jonathan Neese did not allow an earned run in his 5 2/3. Ike Davis in his debut, a couple of hits and an RBI, and Henry Mejia closed the night with 2 scoreless.
The age of his best stat there.
And for an organization that has often been accused of being bereft of talent at the upper levels, we have certainly seen already this year contributions from young Met prospects. And throw in Ruben Tejada, who we had a little taste of. Throw in Fernando Martinez, who's just trying to stay healthy in AAA this year, but is still, what, 22 years old? There's a lot there.
So that shot at Henry, I would believe he would probably have the night off tonight. I don't know how many pitches he threw, 40 something, right?
Well, he threw 2 innings last night and 2 innings on Saturday in the 20-inning game.
Well, when the Mets were getting beat up for no talent in the upper levels, they were obviously the talent was down in the lower levels at that point.
Well, then it's come to the upper levels very quickly. Because here they are.
Percolating.
Yes, indeed. Foul tip by Pagan, 3-2.
Well, that's one of the hardest things to judge, because guys can improve from year to year so differently. Some don't improve at all, and some just leap forward.
Well, here you have Mejia, who barely played in AA last year, and Davis, who barely played in AAA this year. Pagan lifts one to shallow center, where Fontenot takes charge for the second out. So 2 out and nobody on. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Suzuki and the amazing new Kizashi Sports Sedan. By Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. And by AT&T, rethink possible. Now Henry Blanco picked up his first hit as a Met his last time up off his former battery mate Zambrano. And starts him off with a breaking ball away. Henry 1 for 2 tonight, 1 for 11 to begin the year, starting his 3rd game tonight. The Mets pretty much have gotten what they hoped to over the first couple of weeks of the season out of both their catchers, Barajas and Blanco. Wise heads, occasional power.
Yeah.
And with Blanco throwing a great throwing arm, which he still has at age 38.
Wow. That was some throw to get Fontenot off second base.
Breaking ball strike, 2-2. It's Rod Barajas, who's been doing the bulk of the catching. 3-2 to Blanco with Pelfrey on deck. And he walked him. So Blanco aboard for the 2nd straight time. 3rd walk given up by Zambrano, and so Pelfrey will bat with 2 out and a runner at first. And Larry Rothschild will take a visit to the mound. We'll check out the Mets' upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. And if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. 2 more games with the Cubs. Oliver Perez against Carlos Silva tomorrow night, and Johan Santana against Tom Orsolani Thursday night. Then the Braves are in over the weekend, and then the Dodgers for 3. 10-game homestand in all before the Mets make their trip to Philadelphia weekend after next. There are those pitching matchups. Silva, coming over from Seattle, has gotten off to a fabulous start for the Cubs. And Oliver Perez coming off a most encouraging performance Friday night in St. Louis. So here's Pelfrey, who's walked and hit into a fielder's choice 0 for 1. Slider from Zambrano for a strike, 0-2. James Russell, who gave up the go-ahead home run to Pagan last night, up again in the Cubs bullpen. Pelfrey slashing one foul. It's 118 pitches now for Zambrano.
88-mile-an-hour fastball. That is, like Ronnie said, it. The day when Zambrano was throwing 95.
Talked about how the hitters don't hit home runs, so the pitchers don't throw 95 anymore either.
Pelfrey goes down swinging. 9 strikeouts for Zambrano. We head for the 7th. Pelfrey goes back to the mound, working on a 2-0 lead. Left over from the World's Fair of 1964 and 65. I came here to the World's Fair when I was 6 years old. It was the greatest thing in the world. There's Aramis Ramirez leading off in the 7th inning. Rode in those little cars at the Ford exhibit.
Yeah.
It was just outstanding. And of course, it was baseball right next door. It was the World's Fair, open concurrently with Shea Stadium. 1-1 to Ramirez, who's 0 for 2 on the night. Fly to right and popped to second.
And that's when the U.S. Open was played over in Forest Hills,
yes.
Correct?
On the clay courts.
Right in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It was, people used to rent their driveways out so people could park.
Have you ever been to those courts?
No.
Oh, what Gary's saying is right. I mean, literally, you just drive up, you're driving down the street, and there it is.
It's kind of like going to Wrigley Field.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a similar kind of a feel. It's just right in the neighborhood. But, you know, the U.S. Open kind of outgrew Forest Hills and moved out here to Flushing Meadows and took on a whole different atmosphere. 2-2 to Ramirez with Bird and Soriano to follow for the Cubs in the 7th. As Pelfrey continues to shine, and he gets him swinging. 5 strikeouts now for Mike Pelfrey, who's showing no signs of tiring.
Good split finger on that outside part of the plate. See the bottom drop out?
Well, we got ahead, and Ramirez just never really shortens up with 2 strikes. He's just a big swinger.
We always knew as Mike's secondary pitches got better, and he got himself a little change up, which is that split finger, that he'd have more weapons to put hitters away, and that's what's happening now.
Marlon Byrd has struck out and grounded to third, 0 for 2. Well, Pelfrey is showing no ill effects at all from his workday on Saturday. And, you know, it was noted in the Mets game notes tonight that the last Mets starter to get a save was Dwight Gooden in 1989. But that's not quite right, because Doc in 1989, was out for 2 months and came off the disabled list and made a couple of relief outings before he pitched again as a starter. And the second relief outing was a 4-inning stint at Wrigley Field. So he really wasn't a starter at the time. It wasn't like he was saving a game between starts. In fact, the last Met pitcher to save a game between 2 starts 5 or fewer days apart was Tom Hausman, who did it in 1979. Actually, he was the second to last. And Pat Zachary did it in 1982. And Pelfrey's the first in nearly 30 years to pull this off, to get a save between 2 regular starts. And as we mentioned earlier, trying to become the first pitcher since 1988 for any team to bracket a save with 2 wins in those starts 5 days apart. 1-2 now to Bird. So what he's doing in a modern sense is rather extraordinary.
Well, needs 7 shutout innings here and be ready on Thursday, Mike.
Alfonso Soriano on deck. 2-2 to Bird. He struck him out. Another good splitter from Pelfrey. That's 6 strikeouts, matching his season high.
In a groove. God, you gotta love it. I should say gosh. Excuse me, folks. Thursday's an off day. You said Mike be ready on Thursday?
Oh, it is?
Or next start. So he's got Philly on Friday.
Wait a second. Today is Tuesday. He'll pitch again Sunday against the Braves.
I was kidding, saying on Thursday be ready for the pen.
I see what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
See, you just got an entirely different plane from the rest of us.
I thought you were giving me a bounce pass.
Ronnie, do not confuse me, please.
Great picture of that split finger. See that arm pronate and turn inside of the baseball? That's how he gets that great sink.
Soriano rips one down the left field line, and he's got himself an extra base hit. As Bay plays it in the corner, Soriano pulls into second base with a 2-out double. Just the 3rd hit tonight and the first extra base hit for the Cubs.
6th double for Soriano on the season. It's a hanger. Well, he's got a little bit too much in. Too much over the plate.
He's just so strong that he can just flip that ball down the corner.
Mike's only thrown about half a dozen curveballs tonight. And Soriano takes care of that one. Dan Worthington hurrying out to the mound for a conversation. No action in the Mets bullpen. Pelfrey up to 98 pitches on the night. And there's some movement down there in the bullpen, so we should get somebody warming up momentarily.
Yeah, usually when the pitching coach comes out there, it's usually to give someone some time to get ready, but I don't know if you need anyone to be ready this inning. Mike's been outstanding.
Well, this is the one guy he hasn't retired tonight. Mike Fontenot drew a walk in the 2nd. Then he picked up the Cubs' first hit with an opposite field single in the 5th. And he takes an off-speed pitch for a strike. Pedro Feliciano, first man up in the Mets bullpen.
About that time of day when your late inning relievers have to start getting loose.
Well, you know that K-Rod is itching for a save opportunity. He's had 1 save chance this year, and that came in the 19th inning on Saturday, and he could not secure it after he had warmed up about 15 times. 1-1 to Fontenot. I mean, that's an interesting call for a manager. We saw that in the game in Houston a few years back as Nieve gets up as well. The 17-inning game where Billy Wagner got up 8 or 9 times. If you're the manager on the road in one of those long games, what choice do you have but to get your closer up time and again thinking you might get him a lead?
That's a very good point right there.
Or do you pull the parachute at some point and just bring him in the game? To the right side, Castillo shuffles over to get it. Fontenot retired for the first time tonight, and Pelfrey's scoreless inning streak reaches 19. 7th inning stretch, 2-0 Mets. talking to his manager, Jerry Manuel. And I guess the question is, does he get another inning? Or does he just get a pat on the arm after 7 scoreless tonight?
I think he's done. That's the first smile I've seen on his face all evening.
Why? Because he's coming out?
Well, I mean, you know, I mean, you're in game mode, game face. And then once you get that little smile.
Meanwhile, the Cubs go to their bullpen as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Right-hander Jeff Gray takes over.
Well, Jeff Gray was acquired. This is his first full season with the Cubbies. He was acquired by Oakland A's in December.
Tried to send Aaron Miles to Oakland, so you see Pelfrey getting the congratulations all around. Well, 5 days ago, he threw 7 scoreless innings in Colorado. 3 days ago, he threw a scoreless 20th inning in St. Louis. 7 more scoreless innings tonight to stretch his shutout streak to 19 innings. And the Mets bullpen will be charged with getting him 6 outs to try and secure a well-deserved 3rd win of the year. Jose Reyes up for the 4th time. He's driven in the only 2 runs in this game with a 2nd inning triple. Reyes 2 for 3. Now Pelfrey has been extraordinary so far this year, leading a resurgence of the Mets starting pitching staff through a very small sample, but nonetheless a starting pitching staff that began the year with huge question marks. Pelfrey has taken the ball and advanced it. Reyes yanks one foul. 1-2.
Well, with the winter spent thinking and talking about having a compliment to Santana, maybe in-house with Pelfrey and his improvement from last season, they have him on the team. This reminds me of Pelfrey's little string he had in 2008, right, Gary, where he went on that beautiful string, complete games, but he did it a different way, mostly fastballs and sinkers and ground balls. Here, really the complete arsenal of pitches.
Much different pitcher now than then. It's just amazing growth. And Gary said it's only 3 starts, but boy, oh boy, what a wonderful 3.
Well, through his first 3 starts and 1 relief outing, his earned run average is 0.86. Reyes to shallow center. Bird coming on. He'll have to plate on a hop, and Reyes has his 3rd hit of the night. So Jose Reyes back in the role of catalyst, and the Mets up a leadoff man on at the bottom of the 7th. It's the ultimate source for Mets information with up-to-the-minute news, inside opinion, and insider info, plus exclusive one-on-one player and coach interviews. Mets blog, presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Here's Luis Castillo. He is 2 for 3. So Reyes and Castillo, between them, have 5 of the Mets' 7 hits. Pagan and Blanco have the others, with a big donut hole in the middle. And Castillo looking to bunt that insurance run up. 1-0.
How about a nice hit and run right here? Sometimes you get the shortstop maybe moving to cover second base a little too quick and vacating that hole a little early. Louis a good hit and run guy. You got the 3rd baseman right there, Aramis Ramirez, just playing way in.
And now Gray falls behind 2-0.
You got a pitcher. That's one thing that should drive me crazy. Well, when your bunt play was on and the pitcher couldn't throw a strike. Oh, that would drive me through the roof.
Well, when you played, you'd always come in and say, let's throw 2 over, and on the 3rd one go to the plate. And I honestly would throw a cookie, little 82 mile an hour pitch right down the middle, because you want them to bunt it.
Exactly. And we want you to have them bunt it.
And Castillo fouls off the bunt attempt. Let's look at the lead that Reyes took last night against the left-hander. Oh, and you see 8.3 feet. That was last night. And now against the right-hander a little bit farther. Is that what you consider a normal difference between leading against the lefty and a righty?
I don't know. think it all depends on the individual.
I also think James Russell is a rookie. Reyes had not seen him, so he's going to be shortened up against him.
That's a very good point, Ron. Or you can take a big lead in because you want to invite him to throw to see his move.
Gray's best pitch is a sinker. Good time to hit and run, like Keith said.
Castillo is still up there bunting, and Gray not throwing strikes, and now it's 3-1.
You got to be careful here if you're defending. This is a good pitch to send Reyes. And let Castillo swing.
Well, yeah, I don't know about you, but the idea of a 3-1 bunt repels me.
How do you really feel?
But then again, Castillo rarely swings on 3-1.
That's right.
He generally takes the pitch.
Yeah, but 3-1, he's a hit and run. He's got to swing it.
He's up there bunting, but he walked him. So Jeff Gray digging a hole for himself, gives up a soft single and now a walk, and the Mets have 2 men on for David Wright, and Mr. Gray will get himself a visit from his pitching coach.
He should get a big you-know-what chewing.
You got to be able to throw a strike at this level when a guy is trying to give you an out.
But you want to go back to Des Moines? Just keep doing that, and you'll be on that plane before you know it.
Some people like Des Moines.
I forget the name of the hotel. We won the American Association Championship back in 1974 or 5. I'm not sure, in Tulsa. And we beat the White Sox organization then.
Did you treat that hotel like the Who?
Well, A. Ray Smith was the owner of the Tulsa Oilers. We had the Tulsa Oiler Wildcatter Band. It was a Dixieland band. They had the straw hats, the Panama hats, and they're a bunch of old guys, and they could pound that alcohol, and they played all night
until Bill Bailey came home.
Ray got the whole floor, so we could party after we won the championship in 7.
A big league party in a minor league town. Well, a chance for David Wright to help the Mets extend their lead. It's been a lost night for the middle of the Mets batting order. Wright, Bay, Francoeur, Davis a combined 0 for 11. Wright trying to change that. He's lined to left, hit a comebacker, and struck out. That's with a 2-0 lead in the 7th. And a sinker in for a strike. Reyes is at second, a 3-hit night for Jose. And Castillo at first. He's been on base 3 times. 28-year-old Jeff Gray out of Southwest Missouri State struggling here in the 7th. And Wright takes a breaking ball for a strike. 0-2.
David obviously does not feel comfortable up at the plate. He just doesn't. Igarashi up again. I love Igarashi. He's got great stuff. Getting back to David. David just doesn't taking a lot of pitches, swinging and missing a lot.
0-2. Past the mound, but Fontenot is there to grab it. And he turns the double play. 2 out of the inning as Reyes moves over to third. David Wright here in some boopers.
Wow.
That's rare.
Wow. Well, here's the slow-mo out in front off the end of the bat.
So 2 out and a runner at third for Jason Bay, who has struck out twice and drawn a walk. 0 for 2. And Jason takes a strike. One to Bay. Reyes at third with 2 down. Jeff Gray working in back of Carlos Zambrano, who went the first 6. And Bay is hit by the pitch. And now the Mets have runners at the corners for Francoeur. Gray, who got helped out with the double play, puts another runner on, and now Francoeur will try and bust out of an 0 for 17 streak. 0 for 3 tonight. Jeff has struck out twice and popped up to short. And Gray works him inside, ball one.
Boy.
Third time tonight that Frank Core has come up with 2 men on. He did in the first and struck out to end the inning. He did in the 5th and popped up to end the inning. The bullpen has been a huge concern for Lou Piniella, and it became more of a concern last night. After his starter Randy Wells left after 6 good innings, the bullpen gave him a 5 spot in the 7th.
Well, this young man Gray is just overthrowing. If he only knew how nasty his sinker is and relaxed and didn't overthrow, his stuff would go to the corners. But you know, he's kind of aiming it where he wants it to go. He's got a nasty sinker. Center it more. Throw it for a strike.
Hill setting up away. And a check swing grounder. Fontenot charging. And throws out Frank Core to end the inning. So Gray able to sidestep trouble. We go to the 8th. The Mets will go to the bullpen, trying to protect a 2-0 lead for Mike Pelfrey. As the series with the Cubs continues tomorrow night at 7:10 p.m. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. Ryota Igarashi comes on to pitch the 8th inning for New York.
Well, he's been outstanding all season long. You see that ERA. Only 3 hits in 6 innings pitched. 4 walks has only been his problem.
Trying to bounce back from his last outing on Sunday night in St. Louis, when he came into a tie game in the 8th inning, and his first pitch was hit out of the ballpark by Ryan Ludwig. And it was interesting because the day before, Igarashi had been throwing 95-96. That first pitch fastball was 93 to Ludwig, poorly located, and it left. Coy Hill leads off in the 8th inning against Igarashi. And a bunt attempt. Igarashi off the mound. Can't field it cleanly, and Hill is aboard. He bunted it off the plate, and Igarashi, trying to play that short second hop, was unable to do so.
Well, what the problem was, had so much spin on it. He had to catch it in the air. When he didn't get there, see how he didn't break down? The ball had that lot of spin on it, stayed right on the ground instead of bouncing up into his glove and hit him on the foot.
Did that ball hit home plate on the bunt?
Yes.
That's what I think confused him there.
That's why it had all the spin on it.
Oh, open the floodgates.
So now the veteran left-hand hitter Chad Tracy will pinch hit. Tracy, the former Diamondback, 1 for 7 to begin the year. Tying run at the plate in a 2-0 game. And he takes a fastball for a strike. '30-year-old Ryota Igarashi working in back of Mike Pelfrey. And standing by with Mr. Pelfrey is Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
You know, Mike, Jerry told me that, you know, because of Saturday, he was going to have to get that 1 inning back. So does that mean you could have gone out probably another inning if not for Saturday?
I tried to, but he brought that up and said, hey, you know, he came the other day, so we're going to, you know, that was good. And, you know, of course, I don't want to come out of the game, but, you know, I understand him, and, you know, it is April. So, you know, keep me fresh for later.
Did it affect you at all? I mean, you looked just so comfortable this whole game.
I felt good. You know, I thought I threw a lot of pitches.
Castillo with a nice play there to get the out. So 1 out picked up. Sorry, finish your answer.
I threw a lot of pitches. I thought early, had a little kind of erratic, and then you know, I thought I settled in, and you know, I thought all the secondary pitches were great, and you know, in that last inning, I don't even know if I threw enough fastball, you know, and I had a couple strikeouts. So I mean, I thought continually as the game went on, that stuff got better and better.
Mike, real quick, and I'll let you go watch the rest of this game. Just your confidence this year to be able to say that on Saturday, to go in and pitch that game. Your confidence to come back today and just be on cruise control. Can you compare it to where you were last year at this point?
You know, I think every game it continues to you know, continue to grow. You know, coming in the other day, I think I've been you know, blessed. You know, that my body bounced back pretty good. You know, so. You know, I felt like I could do it, and I knew that it was either me or Frank Coeur. And a lot of people probably would have seen Frank Coeur, but you know, I felt safer if I went out there and did it.
Yeah, I think, no disrespect to Jeff, but I think a lot of people did too. Mike, good luck. Hopefully the Mets can secure the victory for you, okay?
Sounds good, thanks.
Mike, thanks. Mike Pelfrey, guys, back to you.
19 consecutive scoreless innings for Pelfrey, and the guy who wanted to see Frank Coeur pitch was Frank Coeur.
That's right.
Fukudomi lifts one to left field. Tough play going toward the line for Bay. And across the line and against the sidewall, he makes the grab. Nicely done by Jason Bay, who's had a really good night out in left field. That's the second out.
Well, the thing he does here that Jason doesn't drift. He gets there quickly, and that's the key. A lot of outfielders can just drift, and by drifting, they kind of glide and pull up, and then they make the catch on the run. Well, when you're near a wall like that, you want to get there as fast as you can, and very nice by Jason.
So 2 away. It'll leave it to Jeff Baker. By the way, on that bunt by Coy Hill, they have charged an error on Igarashi. I thought for sure that would be a base hit.
That's a tough error.
Jerry Manuel and the trainer Ray Ramirez coming out to the mound, so some concern for Igarashi. Fernando Nieve up in the bullpen. But let's see what has happened to Igarashi.
Do you think maybe coming in to field that bunt, he might have, you know, tweaked something?
I thought it was an error.
Really?
I agree with the score.
Wow.
I do.
Well, he's got a look of concern on his face right now. Here's the play. That ball just died in the grass. And they're going to the bullpen here, so something has happened to Igarashi, perhaps on that play, perhaps afterward. He got 2 outs after that error. So he'll leave the game with a runner at second and 2 out, and whoever comes in will get as long as necessary to warm up, with Igarashi leaving apparently because of injury. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Mets up 2-0. We'll be right back. injury. Fernando Nieve getting as long as he needs to warm up, with Igarashi leaving after 3 batters.
Very interesting, though. Nieve was out there warming up. You wouldn't think he'd need too many pitches, but
this will be the 10th appearance in the first 14 games.
Goodness.
For Fernando Nieve. Coy Hill, the runner at second with 2 out. Jeff Baker coming up. Let's give you the results of today's Toyota Text Poll. We asked you who would have the biggest impact for the Mets among the rookies, and a majority saying Ike Davis.
Really?
Jonathan Neese a strong second, and Henry Mejia a distant third.
They're hopeful. It would be wonderful.
So here's Baker, tying run at the plate. Baker 0 for 3 tonight, a strikeout and 2 ground balls, 1 for a double play. He has 2 home runs this year.
I think this is a huge out here. Nieve's got to come in and get this out, because the dangerous Lee on deck.
If he can get him, it'll leave the big boys in the middle of the order for K-Rod in the 9th, with Lee, Ramirez, and Bird. So here's Nieve, who worked an inning and a third last night, allowed no runs, 1 hit, and he leaves that one high to Baker, 1-0. Jeff Baker, the former Colorado Rocky.
Baker kind of lost out to Barmes, huh, for that second base job.
Well, Baker, a useful guy. He can play just about anywhere for you. Big star at Clemson in his college days. And the fastball up from Nieve, and it's 2-0.
Baker got a lot of those records at Clemson, hitting records at Clemson, that were held by
Tim Tuffle.
There you go.
Henry Blanco out to quickly settle Nieve. K-Rod getting up here in the 8th inning. That's something we rarely see. And that's very interesting, because with the emergence of Feliciano as not just a guy who can get lefties out, but a guy with weapons against righties, we expected to see Jerry use him in this kind of spot in the 8th, particularly now that Igarashi is out of the game. But Jerry does not seem inclined to go that way. There's a strike, 3-1.
A choice he could have had is, because of the injury to Igarashi, he could have brought K-Rod in. He could have had all the time he wanted to get ready.
But K-Rod is not a guy who has thrived in more than 3-out save situations.
None of those guys are. Very few.
Rivera.
Yes. Well,
he's thrived in every situation.
Yeah, you use every situation.
Gossage, he was good.
Yeah, he was.
Suter. Yeah, Bruce can do it.
But you're right. In this era, most closers are used to going 3 outs and no more. But really, we expected to see Feliciano as that backup 8-inning guy, and we've yet to see that, at least in a tight spot like this, unless there's been a left-hand hitter up. 3-2 now to Baker. In there for a call, strike 3. Nieve comes from 3-0 down to strike out Jeff Baker and end the inning. The Mets will take a 2-0 lead to the bottom of the 8th. innings from Oliver Perez on the mound as they continue their series against the Cubs here at Citi Field. Mets-Cubs coverage begins with Subway pregame tomorrow at 6:30, only on SNY. Veteran lefty John Graybo will pitch for the Cubs in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, Graybo, the veteran, came over from the Pirates, and they gave the Cubs there the left-hander. Another left-hander in that bull, but he started with the Pirates. Was kind of a swing man.
Saw his splits there. Very dominant against lefties, but he has been trashed by righties this year. You've got the left-hander Davis at the plate, then the switch-hitting Pagan and the right-hand batting Blanco. So we'll see if this is a one-batter affair for Graybo, or if Lou Piniella gives him more than that. Davis tonight 0 for 3, struck out twice and grounded out in his second day in the big leagues. What Ike before the game called a more normal day today. He said everybody was texting him yesterday when he was taking batting practice in Buffalo saying congratulations when he hadn't officially been called up yet. So he hadn't heard from that many people today. It's been, you know, kind of like a normal day at the ballpark.
Oh, ho hum. Another 2 for 4.
Ike with a 3-1 advantage, had a base hit off a lefty last night. Here takes a strike, 3-2. Zook going up the middle against Sean Marshall in the 7th inning of last night's game to drive in his first big league run. 3-2 from Graybo, and he walked him. So the left-hander comes on and walks the left-hand hitter Ike Davis. Mets looking for insurance of the leadoff man on. Right now, let's go to the studio, check in with Gary Apple to see what's coming up on Geico Sports Night.
Gary, thank you so much. More coming on the Mets tonight. Plus, it was just last year that Jason Taylor said it would be very, very, very difficult to ever play for the Jets. Well, he's now a Jet, and Mark Sanchez going to react to that. Fellas, back to you. See you tonight.
Let me tell you something. As a Jet fan, it may be very, very difficult to look at Jason Taylor as a Jet as Pagan fouls went back. But all he has to do is pick up a couple of sacks and all will be forgiven.
Times have changed, Gary. Everyone moves everywhere.
It's just he's such a distinctive member of the Dolphins, the arch rivals. Pagan 1 for 3, looking to lay one down here and gets it down beautifully. Ramirez better hurry and throws him out only by half a stride. Sacrifice 5-4, moving Davis up to second.
Well, nice bunt. That's what you want to do. Nice and soft. That is a perfect bunt. Pagan always hustling.
All the little things that Angel didn't always pull off, he's really rounding into form.
So now Harry Blanco comes to bat with a runner in scoring position. Coy Hill and John Graybo will get together on the sides with a runner at second. Blanco 1 for 2 and a walk tonight. Picked up his first hit as a Met with a 4th inning single. Hitless in 4 career at-bats against Graybo. Fernando Tatis out on deck to bat for Nieve. And K-Rod getting ready for the 9th to again look for his first save of the season. Mets have 1 save in the first 13 games, and that one belongs to Mike Pelfrey.
Very shallow in the outfield.
Well, looking to cut down the run of the plate, but Blanco, a guy who can certainly hit the ball over your head.
You don't want to give up the double over your head.
To center field. Bird started back, now comes on to make the grab. We're playing shallow. Turned out to be the right spot for Marlon Bird.
Did.
So 2 out. And now Fernando Tatis will bat for Fernando Nieve. Looking ahead to the 9th, the Cubs are going to have the heart of the batting order coming up. Derek Lee, Aramis Ramirez, and Marlon Bird. So an extra run here for the Mets would sure feel good to give K-Rod a little more margin for error. Tatis, whose playing time looks to just about disappear with the arrival of Ike Davis. getting a pinch hit at bat here. Fernando just 4 for 24 to start the season, but 2 for 3 as a pinch hitter. Takes the off-speed pitch inside. Tatis had been platooning at first base with Mike Jacobs, but that is no longer the case. Davis is expected to play every day.
And a drive in the air to left field. Soriano going back, looking up at the wall, and it's out of here. A 2-run pinch hit home run for Fernando Tatis. And the Mets double their lead to 4-0. Now, so far this season, Fernando has been a pinch hitting specialist. And he gives the Mets some room to breathe. Third career pinch hit home run for Fernando Tatis. And his first home run of the season.
Well, sinker down and in, and it meant to be away, and he got it on the inner half of the plate, and Tatis loves that ball downstairs.
Reyes shoots one toward the middle, and Jose has his 4th hit of the night. Now, in a game abounding with good signs for the New York Mets, that might be the best one of all. A 4-hit night for Jose Reyes.
Well, just what the Mets needed. Get this man hot, back in the groove. Another ball right down Broadway. Nicely done, Jose.
So the Mets now with 9 hits in the game, and here's Castillo, who has 2 of them and a walk. Look at the IOTV pitch differential for Tatis.
I bet you this ball's lower than you think. It is, but it catches more of the plate.
Inner half.
Coy Hill wanted that on the outside part.
With Reyes running, got a huge jump and no throw by Hill, and Reyes has his 2nd stolen base of the year.
He just took a chance right there off the left-hander, not coming over.
Why not? 4-0. Nice time to take that chance.
So another runner in scoring position now with 2 out. And Castillo gets tied up 0-2.
Well, what cost Graybo was that he came in. His job was to get that first out with Ike Davis, and he walked him.
And he has struggled big time against the right-hand hitters, and the right-hand hitter Tatis took him deep. And the Cubs bullpen continues to flounder.
Castillo shoots one right to the first baseman Lee. That retires the side, but the Mets stretch their lead on a 2-run pinch hit home run off the bat of Fernando Tatis. First home run of the year for Tatis, and it gives the Mets a 4-0 lead heading to the 9th at Citi Field.
Well, no save chance tonight for Francisco Rodriguez, with the Mets now sporting a 4-run lead.
He did have the blown save in that 20-inning ball game, but did get the win 2 seasons ago. Had 69 chances, but they're come wanting here this season so far.
Derek Lee leads off in the 9th inning and takes a fastball strike from K-Rod. Trying to finish it off for Mike Pelfrey. It would be Pelfrey's 3rd win of the year and the Mets' 6th. So let's see. Pelfrey would have half of the wins and the only save through the first 6 wins of the year. Blowing away to Lee, 1-1. Derek Lee 0 for 2 and a walk. It'll bloop to first and fly out to center field. He's now hitless in his last 10 at bats. Cubs managed 1 run and 9 hits last night. No runs and 3 hits tonight. 2-1 to Lee.
Well, you can see the violent torque that K-Rod puts on his body when he releases that baseball.
Two-1, and it's blown away to Lee. 3-1. Mike Pelfrey went 7 innings, allowed no runs, 3 hits, walked 3, struck out 6. Now has thrown 19 consecutive scoreless innings, matching his longest career streak. Ryota Igarashi got 2 outs, but then left with an apparent leg injury that he suffered trying to field a bunt. Fernando Nieve came on to get the final out of the 8th, striking out Jeff Baker. And now K-Rod trying to put the wrap on it. By the way, the 4 hits for Jose Reyes tonight, first time he's had 4 hits in a 9-inning game since May 2nd of 2008. Wow. Nearly 2 years ago. Ball 4, and Lee is on with a leadoff walk. So the Cubs get the first man on in the 9th inning. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda find out what's coming up on Lincoln Mercury post-game live. All right, guys, we'll see you in a little bit. K-Rod trying to get the final 3 outs, taking on Aramis Ramirez, and throws a first pitch fastball for a strike.
Gary, that 3-0 game in the 8th in Atlanta, the Phillies. That Kyle Kendrick started that game, didn't he? Did he start that game?
Check.
I think he did. He's filling in right now, and he's had an up and down career. Oh, good breaking ball.
Well, the Phillies have got some problems with their pitching. Jay Happ's going to miss a start tomorrow night because he's ailing. But it hasn't seemed to affect them much, has it? Yes, it was Kendrick tonight. 7 scoreless.
7.
And only 87 pitches, so probably going to still go. 0-2. He struck him out. Off speed from Frankie Rodriguez to get Aramis Ramirez for the first down.
Ramirez has been the victim of Pelfrey's split finger, and now the victim of the changeup from K-Rod.
Well, this fooled out in front.
Well, amidst all the good news for the Mets tonight, here's a slice of not so good news. Carlos Beltran, seen by Dr. Stedman in Vail, Colorado today, not ready for baseball activity. So it's going to be that much longer for Carlos Beltran before he makes his return. And he'll just continue the rehab program that he's been on. So whereas the Mets were hoping to get Beltran back by mid-May, now you'd have to say it's going to be at least June. And perhaps longer before we see Carlos this year.
Maybe play it safe and All-Star break and hopefully have him for the second half.
Marlon Byrd is 0 for 3. He struck out twice tonight. And K-Rod gets ahead of him with a changeup, 0-2.
That changeup is nasty.
One on and one out, 0-2 to Byrd. Blanco knocks it down, 1-2. Tomorrow night, Oliver Perez for the Mets, coming off a fine start in St. Louis on Friday night. He'll be opposed by Carlos Silva, who's gotten off to a wonderful beginning as a Cub. There's Ollie, the only man who didn't get in the game on Saturday. 24 players plus one. Grounded foul. But that doesn't mean that Ollie gets his own 10th.
No, exactly.
But he was a revelation with his off-speed stuff on Friday night.
And he also saw how the off-speed stuff and secondary pitches for Pelfrey worked against this lineup tonight. Might be able to do that himself tomorrow.
1-2 to Marlon Byrd. Low and away with the fastball. 2-2. Cubs team that's gotten off to a 5-8 start, in danger of losing their 4th straight game after a disappointing season last year. Two. Breaking ball, he lays off, and a full count to Marlon Byrd after K-Rod was up in the count 0-2. Best thing you want to be doing now is walking people with a 4-0 lead in the ninth. Byrd coming off back-to-back 3-hit games without a hit tonight. K-Rod's 3-2. Curveball popped up. In foul ground, Ike Davis has room. 2 out. So the Cubs are down to their final out of the night.
If they're not able to push one across, Gary, that'll be 4 losses in a row. 6 runs scored in those 4 losses.
They're just anemic right now.
Soriano has one of the 3 hits for the Cubs tonight, and their only extra base hit, a 2-out double off Pelfrey in the 7th. Lou would like to grab a bat himself. Two out and a runner at first. Lee takes off, swing and a miss by Soriano. Defensive indifference moves Lee to second base. And a 1-strike count on Soriano. And so the Cubs are down to their final strike. Ryota Igarashi strained left hamstring, MRI tomorrow. Oh, 0-2 to Soriano. In the dirt. 1-2. Mets, who lost their first 4 series of the year, guaranteed tonight that they won't lose this series if they can hold on to this lead. Lee at second with 2 out. 1-2. 2-2 count to Soriano. The left-hand batting Mike Fontenot would be next. A-Rod, who was preparing for a save opportunity that disappeared when Tatis hit the home run, is now throwing 20 pitches here in the top of the ninth. Two to Soriano. Low and away. So again, 0-2 has gone to 3-2. 4 batters in the inning. 3-3-2 counts for K-Rod.
Get your manager pacing.
Frankie trying to put on the finishing touch. And he walked him. Second walk of the inning issued by Frankie Rodriguez. So now the Cubs need just one more base runner to get the tying run to the plate. Down to their final out.
It's got to be upsetting if you're a pitching coach. And with the fastball that K-Rod has, the choice of a 3-2 changeup with a 4-run lead, it's just not good.
They threw the 3-2 curveball to Bird and got him to pop up.
And I didn't like that one either.
It almost seems like Frankie just wants to strike everybody out, make him look bad.
So now Fontenot, who has walked, singled to left, and grounded out to second base, got the start at shortstop tonight for the first time since 2007 and has handled his position well. 2 on and 2 out. And there's a first pitch strike with a fastball. If Fontenot can get on, Coy Hill would be next as the tying run in a 4-0 game. Here's the 0-1. Right down the middle for a strike. And again, the Cubs are down to their last strike.
2 good fastballs there from K-Rod.
See if he can put him away this time. 0-2 to Fontenot. Fouled it off. Fernando Tatis, who gave the Mets breathing room. Boys, that 2-run homer look big now.
Wow.
26th pitch of the inning upcoming for K-Rod. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Francisco Rodriguez closes out a big night for the New York Mets. Mike Pelfrey, 7 scoreless innings. Jose Reyes, 4 hits. A 2-run pinch hit homer for Fernando Tatis. And the Mets have back-to-back wins for the first time this season.
Well, just outstanding. Pelfrey ties his career high now. 19 straight scoreless innings. K-Rod ties it in a bow. But even more importantly, some add-on runs at the end by Tatis. And the ability to beat Zambrano here. Reyes with 4 hits.
That's a big key right there. That man right there going 4 for 5 tonight. A big night, a triple, 2-run triple, stolen base, and get him going. You know how he ignites this offense. That's key to get Jose going.
Well, Reyes had not had a 4-hit, 9-inning game since May the 2nd of 2008 in Arizona. And now the Mets have him back and rolling. Meanwhile, Mike Pelfrey, 19 consecutive scoreless innings, lowered his ERA to 0.86.